Okay, so I just started recording. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our webinar series. Tonight we have Venedict, Strisca, and Nadejda Mocanu with an awesome presentation. I won't take too much of your time any longer and allow them to start. Nadejda?
Yes, hi everyone. It's a real pleasure to see you once again. It's 1 month from now, right? I am going to share my screen and we will start. So we are going to do the Club Coach webinar once again. And I would like to go through a summary from what we discussed last time. So we have discussed about available resources for club coaches from Toastmasters.org, and we know that we have learned from Venedict that there are a lot of available resources that a coach can use to guide themselves. We discussed about what to do in a dire situation. We discussed about building a nice, healthy relationship with the team of the coach club and about establishing some formal and informal boundaries. And we discussed about communication strategies. We also discussed a little bit about the club coach support system, and we will continue discussing about it tonight, if you don't mind, of course. And tonight, we have another couple of points on our agenda. So first, we would like to see how is your coaching experience going. We would really love to hear what happened in the past month. Venedict will tell us about tools used during coaching process, so more tools. I will tell you about the coach's favorite or best tool, at least I think so, which is storytelling. And I will tell you about our experience, about how we balanced successfully or less successfully between our work, life, family, coach club, own club, and so far and so forth. And we will close with a Q&A session and with a further discussion of the club coach support system. So, how is the coaching going? I would like to invite you all to unmute your microphones and let us know how it's going. For Venedict and I, it's going pretty well. Our club has hit 10 DCP points. However, they are not taken into consideration yet because after the renewals, they have got 9 members. So we have 6 more members to get in order to get the point. I see that Anna has started the camera. Anna, do you want to unmute your mic and tell us about your coaching experiences?
Well, actually, I'm using coaching because I'm an accredited coach, and I use coaching techniques with the officers team. But so far, from my experience, they are happy where they are, even if because they enjoy the meetings, and they are okay with not having a lot of members, and they are okay with not having DCP points.
Oh.
So at this point, I'm working on for them to discover their own potential in order to look further and to aim higher.
Okay. Well, fingers crossed for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Elizabeth, would you like to share something with us?
Yes, I'm a club coach too, which is why I joined this. And at first it was identifying, and maybe you had that in your last session, identifying all the, perhaps the reasons why they needed a club coach. I'll just quickly name a couple. The Vice President of Education wasn't doing scheduling of the meetings till the last minute. So nobody knew that, what role were they supposed to take in a meeting. So we quickly took on a assistant Vice President of Education. The board members, especially the treasurer, who was supposed to pay into Toastmasters International, when some new members came along, he was kind of doing it when he felt like it.
Okay.
Could be months in between. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't mention them because it really irritates me. So we've started to put some better processes in place, like when this assistant vice president education will set the meeting, so it's happening like directly after the last meeting. And the members are saying, oh, finally, we know what's happening. As well, some of the members didn't get their pathways levels recognized, and now we're doing that. So they're getting them registered and getting them put into the system. With the lockdown and the quarantine and all that, we quickly changed to an online meeting, so that we had a few people say, oh, I'm not sure I want to do online. But when other members came on and experienced it, then they really got into it. And they're saying, oh, when can I go to the next online meeting? What other clubs have online meetings?
Awesome.
So, yeah, there's varying there. We still need 6 more members to get the club up to charter strength. We gained a few, and we lost some that were dead anyway. So we're still working on it.
Well, fingers crossed.
Thank you.
We're all in this together. We have 2 participants who have joined recently. It's Elena, and the other participant disappeared. Okay. Elena, would you care to start your camera and your mic and tell us about your club coaching experience so far? Just a very short one.
Yeah, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you very
well. Very good, because I'm outside the city and connection, it could not be very good. I'm just newbie as a club coach. I joined last session, so I'm starting to read materials, and I joined online meeting of the club to see how it's going. And it's going to be elections, so I believe their team of the officers is going to be absolutely new. So my other coach, if that's okay to say, he puts a lot of hopes on the new team, because the old team was happy with small membership and was not really eager to do anything with that. So we really hope for the next officers team, and in the meanwhile I read materials and hopefully gain knowledge during these meetings.
Okay, fingers crossed. And as I said before, we're all in this together, so let's keep the information exchange going. All right, so I will unshare my screen now, and I will invite Mr. Venedict Strisca to tell us about the tools that we loved using during our coaching process. Venedict?
Thank you. Thank you, Nadejda. While we were preparing for this webinar, we understood that we had a lot of tools to use in our coaching. And finally, we understood that all these tools are related to communication, because coaching is about communication. We noted 7 or even 8 the most important tools which we are going to speak tonight. The first tool we used is one-to-one meetings with club president. We used that at the beginning when we just started our coaching. It was the 1st of July. It was the first days when the new board was installed in that club. I knew that being a president is not so easy at the beginning because there is a huge responsibility on yourself. And personally, me, um, I had a fear for the first 3 months. And one-to-one meetings with club president allowed me to make sure a lot of things. First of all, I made sure that the club president understands what is successful club program or DCP. It is very important because the previous board of our club didn't understand that so well. So I was a little bit shocked, but at the same time, I was happy that it was understandable. The second thing I made sure is that the club president understands well that the tools that she had being a president, that she understands well how to do that. It was really important because a club president is the leader of the entire club. And we know from our experience that when the leader is gave up, in 99%, the entire club is gave up. So it is very important to have a proactive club president. And using this tool, we made sure that everything is okay with the leader of our club we are going to coach. And to be honest, we were lucky because we had a great president in our club. She was able to unite everyone and to make a strong team of officers. So this tool gave us uh, a hope that everything was okay, and after a while we understood that we were right. So one-to-one meetings with the club president is a very useful tool, mainly from the beginning of club coach program. The next one is officers meeting. When we started our coaching program, we asked how often and the channel of communication with uh, during the officers meetings. We were lucky because they met every week on Skype. So it was very easy to be a part of officers meetings, even if we decided that we will participate, let's say, one per month, not every week. But at these meetings, all the officers were present, and everything we decided or everything we wanted to tell them was public, and every responsible person heard that. So when we had, um, let's say, some troubles with someone, we understood who is the most problematic officer, and after that we had a chance to solve that. So being a part of officers meetings is a very great tool because at that meetings are everywhere, everyone, every responsible officers. The next tool is follow-up emails. When we had something very important to discuss, something that we decided and should be done, everything was transposed into an email which were sent to every involved person. This tool helped us to make sure that everything we decided were implemented. Or, for example, we talked something at a meeting. After a month, it's a little bit hard to remember everything decided to the last meeting. So Namely, this tool helped us to remember everything, to keep track of everything, and what is written is very precious, or how to say that. Um, a follow-up email contains a shortly description of what we decided, what we have to do, the responsible person, and the deadline. And after that, we just looked what was done and what not. The next tool was one-to-one meetings with other responsible officers. So if we had a question related to one of another officers, we did one-to-one meetings with them. For example, Nadejda did it several times. Nadejda, could you please share your experience about this point?
Sure. Yeah. So we did our diagnostic, as Elizabeth mentioned when she was sharing about her coaching experience, and we identified the officers with the most potential. We identified the officers where, you know, it was really, really worth it to invest. And we also decided that there are some roles that are crucial for the club development. One of these roles, for example, was the Vice President for Education. And yeah, they did have a little bit of troubles in that department, but we were so lucky that the Vice President of Education was recognizing that they have issues and was very, very open to one-to-one coaching. So I started approaching the club vice president for education via Facebook messages, and then we started scheduling Skype calls. I was always asking for a list of questions, for a list of issues, or a list of problems that he thinks that I could be helping. And we would spend sometimes half an hour, sometimes an hour and a half discussing what could be done. One of the biggest projects that I had with the Vice President of Education was helping reintroduce Easy Speak into the club. So here we really, really spent, I don't know, maybe like some 10 hours of both of our time, having a lot of coaching calls, a lot of questions. You know, Easy Speak is not exactly user-friendly, so we really needed to sell the idea. But now, you know, it's, I don't know, like 9 months into them using the system. And I think that a couple more months and they will not imagine not doing it. I also spoke at length with the vice president for membership because, you know, the coach club needed more members. They really needed to sell the idea. And our club, unfortunately, started from the position that, oh, you know, $50 is a lot. So not everyone can afford $50. So it was ingrained in the officer's head that this is too much for what people are gaining from Toastmasters. So our task was really to change their mind and really to negotiate with them how to approach members, and for this, what we did is we stole basically everything that our club had about best practices for recruiting members, and we just gave it. We made a present to the coach club. They were happy, we were happy, they started to implement. Yes, of course, they implemented, you know, a copy is never exactly like the original. They implemented maybe 60-70% of what we told them. But then in a couple of months, they started having their own inventions. They started having their own ideas. So it was a really beneficial experience. And one more officer that participated in one-on-one coaching session was the secretary, and it was again related to the Easy Speak. Venedict, the stage is yours again.
Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, and the next tool is about follow-up meeting with coach. Every time when we and Nadezhda uh, participated to their officers meetings or at meetings with some officers, after that we did a follow-up meeting. It was even a call or talking on Facebook Messenger. But this tool was very important to me because it helped me to summarize everything we discussed during that meeting, and also made me to understand better the things that should be fixed, or uh, to help me to understand where should be our focus. Every time after each meeting, we did a follow-up meeting with Nadezhda. So this tool is very useful as well. The next tool is about area director. For the beginning, Nadezhda told me, "Hey, Venedict, let's have a talk with the area director." I even didn't know who is he, but after a while managed to find his Facebook profile, and we organized a meeting together. I can tell to you that it was really a cool meeting because their area director is a very uh, well were a person with a huge energy, a huge positive energy, and he took an area of 6 clubs. All of them were just a part of them were okay, but the biggest part had a lot of troubles. And he said that his main goal is to have every club to do 9 DCP points. He set this goal because several clubs forget to give the list of officers in the time, so it wasn't possible that moment to make all 10 DCP points. But at this meeting, we made sure that we are on the same wave and we have a common understanding. We made sure that what we decided with Nadezhda, uh, we made sure that things we are focused on are at the same time in area director's agenda. And we were surprised that we think the same, and from one part club coaches are talking about important things, and from another side area director telling them the same thing, and it was really helpful. So meetings with area directors are very important. I think that every single club coach should do that. The next tool is meeting with club growth director. In our case is Kalin Gilliam. First of all, I would like to to tell him a big thank you, because at the beginning he helped me to find a club that need a coach. We had a 30 minutes talk, and he did research in our district, and finally he identified the Odessa's club. It was difficult for me because um, the club from Odessa is in another district, so I didn't know too much about them. But Colleen helped me to find it, and I was really happy. I am happy right now. And periodically, we told to him. We did some meetings together with Nadezhda and Colleen, and uh, we talked about coaching program. We talked about our progress, and so on. So this tool is also important, and everyone is open to use it. The next one is about team coaching versus individuals officers coaching. So we felt a difference when we talked to the whole team, and also were versus individual officers coaching. So I had an experience talking to the club president, and also had experience to talk with the whole board of officers. And here was a big difference. In, in team coaching, we identified more troubles. We sometimes we identified trouble related to education, and then decided to involve one of officers from our club in helping them doing that thing. But when we told one-to-one with another officers, it was a little bit different, because in individual discussion, we may tell more things were differently from a different point of view. Uh, and here I would like ask Nadejda to tell a little bit of her experience as well.
Thank you, Venedict. Yes, I also, when if you ask me if one type of coaching is better than the other, I would probably start yelling at you and say use both, because really there is one message that can be transferred to an individual. Yes, the coaching with the president is really, really important. The president needs to become strong. The president needs to take, the power in his or her hands. But then, what's a president without a strong team? What's a president alone without a team of motivated people who understand? Why is that president asking about DCP points? Why is that president asking about other stuff? So this is why we took it, we experimented it actually with Ilya Derkach, with the previous club that we were coaching. And I was really glad that Venedict agreed to try it once again. And so we have, yes, this is anecdotal evidence, but we have evidence that combined, these coaching types really bring very, very good results.
Thank you so much, Nadejda. So let's summarize about tools we were used during our coaching process. The first one was one-to-one meetings with club president. The next one was officers meetings. The third one, follow-up emails. And also we used to talk on one-on-one meetings with other responsible officers. We used to talk about each meeting, doing follow-up meetings with co-coach. And also we had meetings with area director and club growth director. And it's important to understand the team coach versus individual officers coaching. So this was all from my side, from tools for coaching. So Nadejda, the stage is yours, and I am stopping my share screen.
Thank you so much, Venedict. And I will be sharing my screen now.
Just while it's coming up, we'll say, hey, those sound really good. Way to go.
Say it again, Elizabeth.
Those sound like excellent tools to use. Congratulations for identifying.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So we didn't really touch upon this. Oopsie, sorry, I'm not sure why this stopped at Venedict slides. That's completely my fault, but we did a little recap. So how we know the what, right? We know what to do with them. We know the approaches, but then how to do it. So in our case, we really discovered that following the lead by example rule was a really good part of our coaching. And also not being afraid to be vulnerable, not having this white coat, you know, and the hat of the king, coming with the attitude, oh, we know everything, we're coming from a golden club and we are so superior. No, that will never work. So in both cases with the clubs that I have coached, so both with the Romanian club and with the Ukrainian club together with Venedict, we really strived to replace we recommend or you have to do or we think this is what you should be following by, oh, you know what? We had a similar situation in our club. Or, oh, you know what? We heard about a club who had a similar situation. May we tell you how we handled it? Of course, they would say yes, because they were kind of a captive audience, right? And it did wonders. So we were really not speaking from, you know, the parent to the child anymore, because let's be honest, that's how they feel, because they are a club who is lacking, right? They are a club who did something wrong in the past, didn't develop enough, had some officers who didn't take it seriously. So now the present officers team has to pay for it. So we would really use a lot of our stories. And you know what? It didn't hurt. We didn't die. Like, you know, we started, oh, guys, you have a low number of members. Yes, we understand. And they would say, how do you understand? You look, we looked into the Toastmasters report. You have 30 members. And we're like, yeah, now. Because we worked, because we did a lot of work with all the officers and all the members. But guys, we had a time when we had only 13 members at the moment. And, you know, we didn't even qualify for a club coach because we were above the 12 members minimum. So we had to do it on our own. And you know what? Our sister club from Chisinau, they had a time when they had only 4 members. And they just had a meeting where the former president sat down and said, so what, are we closing down the club or are we working to save it? And in 1 year, they added 16 members. So they finished the year not at +5, they finished the year at 20 members. So they were really healthy. And that's when we captured their attention and they're like, okay, so you know what you're talking about. Can you tell us more about what did you do? Okay, good. This is what we did. And we were fully transparent. We would tell them, how much time did it take us to quarrel with the other officers, to set up some procedures, to get the responsible people, to see who does what, who reports on what? How much time did it take us to put it all in action? And then they would really relax. They would say, oh, okay. And they would start following, you know, because we just told them a story. We told them what we did. And they saw the result. They saw that, yes, we got to 30 members. So some of it should be working, right? Or then we saw that, oh, your treasurer is not that engaged collecting membership renewals. Let us tell you our story. We had a treasurer who ran away with the club's petty cash. And then they were like, oh, so our troubles are smaller than yours. Okay. And sometimes, of course, when we were helping them to implement Easy Speak, they were like, oh my God, why do we need it? Why should we Why should we bother to introduce all of those names? It takes so much time. And then we would go, oh, yeah, okay. In 2012, 2013, we also tried to implement Easy Speak in our club for the first time. We really, really remember those times. You know, they were not the easiest ones. And then in 2015, we switched to the European one because we joined the district. And oh my, we did it all over again. So we were just showing them that we were human. We were showing them that it's doable, that you don't have to be a super special club. You don't have to be someone who has, I don't know, 8 officers who are 150% involved. No, everyone was human. Everyone was making mistakes from time to time. Someone was more involved than the other. So this is what made our relationship much warmer, I would say. Now, fine. We have been telling you about, oh, we've done this, we've done that, and I am afraid that you also would be thinking that, oh yeah, so these are those coaches who never sleep and pay 24/7 hours, you know, and 7 days a week attention to their clubs. I cannot do this. I just cannot afford this. I have a job, I have a family, I have a boyfriend, I have a husband, I have, I don't know, a pet, whatever. Well, you know, it's not entirely true, because yes, we had times when both Venedict and I would think, is it really worth it? Are we not investing too much? Are they really doing what they are supposed to do? But we really were striving, at least. You know, we cannot say that we managed to find the golden average, but we were striving, and I think that in this art of balancing, we found some tips and tricks that probably could be useful. So one of the biggest question I know and I hear is, oh, but yeah, our club said that they want a coach that will only be physically present at every single meeting of the club. And to that, we would like to say that it's really, really possible to become a remote coach. I've done it twice. Venedict has done it one time, and I think he will do it more because he really loved the process. And with the modern tools and with the modern fluidity of the boundaries, of the borders, I really, really don't see a problem with a coach not being physically in the city. You have heard Venedict telling what kind of tools we were using. You know, none of them. We have seen the Odessa club, I don't know, 2 times, 3 times face to face. I have seen the Suceava club once. I have seen the officers once, and that's because they arrived at an area contest where we also went. So it was purely by chance. And still, both clubs are doing fine. Knock on wood. Involving other coaches. So this was one of our probably saviors, because our clubs, our coached clubs, needed a lot of work. And I'm sure that your clubs are the same. I mean, no one gets a coach unless they really, really, really need the help, right? And sometimes the clubs would have the expectation that the coaches would be doing everything for them, or just by getting a coach assigned, all of the troubles would disappear. Well, not really true. But having our colleagues or our colleagues from other clubs who we knew that are experts in some areas, and not being afraid to involve them. For example, as Venedict mentioned, we would involve our vice president for education, who was really, really willing. She took a long time to learn how to navigate Easy Speak. But now that she has learned it, she just loves telling people how to use it. So we connected the VPE from the Odessa club with our VPE, And she happens to be a Russian-speaking lady, so they didn't even need to use English to communicate. And it took them, I don't know, I think 3 or 4 messages to solve an item that I was cranking my head about for like 2 hours. So if you have officers, or if you have people in your club who are willing, who are open to get involved, please don't be a hero. Don't carry all the load on your shoulders. Get all the help you can get, you know. So besides delegating to the coach club, also it's good to involve others. Also, this has a side effect, a side, let's say, benefit, because if a side expert would come, right, and would say something that you told the club before and they were pretty skeptical about, then they would have the idea, okay, so probably this is correct. Probably our way of doing it has some flaws. So it has benefits all over. Also, as I mentioned, there is this overall expectation that when a club gets a coach, they will really magically have all the problems disappeared. But it's really important to set these boundaries, and we spoke about the boundaries in the previous webinar, but it's so important that I am not afraid to mention them again. So it's really important to have the expectations from the very beginning. You know, it's like, yes, guys, we are your coaches and we are very, very happy to help you. However, in order for the club to flourish, it has to be the Pareto principle. It has to be 20% our effort and 80% your effort, because you will progress only as much as the officers and the members will progress. If we come and do everything, this is going to be Nadia and Venedict's club, right? So we just better come next year and become the club president and the club VPE, and everything will be fine for 1 more year. But if we can convince them to do the work themselves, then of course everything will stay within the club. Everything that that will be useful, you know, the institutional memory, the legacy, I'm not speaking about the educational program, of course, will stay there. So this was something that I wouldn't say was challenging, but was really, really important for us while coaching the clubs. So I felt that it was really important to share it. So to summarize, you know, storytelling, being vulnerable, sharing. As I mentioned, we were not afraid to share anything that we have developed. You want a brochure that we had? Here. You want to personalize it? Sure. Here's the best practices for officers that we have developed. Here's the best practices for roles during the meetings that we have developed. You want to just put your club name there and print them? Fine, not a problem. We don't really need the copyright, because, you know, we also copy pasted them from somewhere and we have adapted them. So we were contributing with everything that was readily available, but the work, the heavy lifting, had to be done by them. So, and of course, as we mentioned last time, Venedict mentioned it many, many times, praising, and just a part of it being suggestions is really important, because they are scared, they are vulnerable, they are lost. So they really want to know how they are doing. And if they are being criticized, if they only hear what they are doing wrong, then there are not so many chances that they will succeed. Praising and telling them what they do well, because there definitely are things that they are doing well, always helps. So I really would hope that hearing this will help you not burn out as a coach, and that next year you will want to become a coach again, because you will not think that this is so difficult. Yeah, it's difficult. It's challenging, but it's not exhausting. It's not deadly. And now, since we have only 13 minutes left from our timed webinar, I would like to encourage everyone to unmute your microphones and maybe see if we have some questions or maybe comments. You know, maybe you have some stories that you would like to share. So let's feel free to do that. Yes, Elizabeth.
So I'm wondering, because right now we're not getting a lot of new members in, what are you using to get new members?
Well, you know, our club has already 23 members, I think. So we're doing fine. We have a pretty big bag of tricks, but the biggest trick is having the officers communicate with the guests. Yes, this is a little bit from the sales area. This is a little bit from the, you know, borderline annoying, but the officers really, really know that when we have a guest, sometimes we silently assign, you know, so we don't have 8 people jumping on one person and scaring them. Let's say, I don't know, let's say Venedict has come to our club, and then we would silently say, okay, so Diana, you know, our president, she will contact him. It means that none of the other 7 will bother the person. And then she will share what was the conversation about. Also, we have a really interesting system. We do not allow anyone to have a speech unless they pay by having 2 roles. So this is our condition. And this is the condition for the members. If you're a guest, so if you're from another club, then you have to have 3 roles, because, you know, you are a Toastmaster, but you are not, our members have a priority, and people want to have speeches in our club, and this is how they willingly take roles. So that's what we have advised our coach club to do. Of course, they are not implementing it, you know, right away. They are pretty skeptical because they're, oh, how do we do it? Because we were allowing everyone to do, but at least they start thinking about it.
So this sounds great, how you're handling the people, but how are you getting the guests there? Are you advertising somewhere, social media?
Facebook.
Facebook.
Our tool is Facebook. And to be honest, our second coached club is, I mean, they need assistance everywhere but in the area of PR. They are so good, we could learn from them. I mean, seriously, if you want to look them up, it's Best Odessa Speakers Club. They are just wonderful in doing the PR. But for
tell me again, I didn't quite catch how you said it.
It's Best, and then Odessa with Odessa. 2 S, and then Speakers Club.
Okay.
Our club, you know what, we just experimented, and we found out that inviting as many people as possible to the meeting is the best instrument. So if we want to have 30 people attending, we'll learn that we have to invite 300. Yeah. So we just tasked ourselves, and I mean, our members don't really know about this. It's the internal officers discussion, but whenever the event is published, we start having the movement in the officers group. Hey, please share it. Please share it on your wall. Please share it in your story. Please comment a little bit about it, especially if you have a speech, if you have a role, and then please invite your friends. Yes, it might sound annoying. Yes, some people are reluctant to doing this, but you know what? I already have 2 examples. I had one friend whom I kept inviting every single week for 6 months. I am not exaggerating. I swear, cross my heart, 6 months every week. and he would not come. And then I was like, okay, I think I should drop it. But then I was stubborn, I was like, no, I will keep inviting him because, what's the harm? Worst case scenario, he doesn't come. And then he comes to a meeting. He had no idea what Toastmasters is, but he got tired of my invitations. He comes to the meeting and he immediately paid his membership fee.
Yeah.
And then just a couple of weeks ago, we had a guest, and when our president asked him, so could you please introduce yourself and tell us, because we have these 3 questions to the guest, tell us your name, tell us what you do, and how did you find out about us? So, and then he goes into saying, well, 3 years ago, I worked with Nadia. I'm not working with her anymore, but she keeps inviting me to your meetings, guys. So I just thought that since now you're online, I should come and visit you. And I actually like it. This one didn't pay for the membership fee, but it was, it was anecdotal evidence for me that we have to keep bothering people.
It sounds so much like what I'm doing. So I thank you that it's working in other parts of the world.
Yes, it does.
Yeah,
it seems annoying. It seems tiring, but it works.
Yeah, I just want to share a little bit word to complete this topic because in previous year it was a period when our attendance was very low, and then we decided to set up a strong process, and then we decided that every single officer will invite all English-speaking friends from Chisinau to our event. Every single officer every week will share the event, and also the PPR will post pictures and 1 or 2 posts per week. And we starting doing that, we starting controlling that, and from 15 persons, it raised to up to 30 in just several weeks. So we tested also Instagram. We tested the Meetup. It was a platform Nadejda was using, and we got one guest from Meetup. But the main our guests are coming because of Facebook. And we saw that in numbers, and it really works, or it really worked from us. But getting a new members is a well-known process. We need to bring guests, and after that to convert them to the members. So this is the magic: bring guests and convert them.
Yeah. For us,
Related,
actually. Oh, sorry, Vinny, go ahead.
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I just one more sentence. We talked about converting guests into the members, and also understood that there's simple things to do. For example, bring some materials, bring the form. I forgot.
Membership form.
Membership form, talking to the guest several times. We observed that if no one is talking to a guest, she or he is going, and that's all. So it's simple, just it need annoying work to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds the same here then too. Yeah, but good work.
Yeah. We really discovered that in order to so attracting guests to the meeting, yes, it's annoying, it takes time, but it's not the most difficult thing to do. People would come, but then people will not come the second time if they don't like the meeting, if the meeting doesn't start on time, if there are unspoken conflicts, if people are not serious enough or too serious. It's really a balance of so many things. And one thing that we also did, which to the observer probably didn't really seem like something rehearsed, but we really pushed it. every officer had a commitment during, because our meeting has a break, before the meeting and during the break, the officers committed to speak with at least 2 guests. So yes, it's always, the instinct is, let's speak with each other, right? Let's speak with, with people who we know best. Nope. We went even as far as saying, okay, next month, we don't sit next to a person we know. We sit next to someone we don't know. And during the break, we ask them, so what do you think? Are you planning to come again? Would you be interested in a simple role? We have a couple of roles that guests can take, like a counter, vote counter. And, they were kind of a captive audience, and they would just say, yeah, I guess one in 10 would say no. So then we would just catch our vice president for education, like, hey, we have a vote counter for next time. So, and that's how they came for the next time. And then we would let them come a couple of times, and then the vice president for membership would come in place. Then they would sit and, so, you don't have so many guest roles. We finished the guest roles. You can come to our meetings. It's no problem. But what's the point? What's the benefit? You will only listen. Don't you want to start taking speeches? Don't you want to start having very serious roles like evaluator, like general evaluator, like table topic master? It's so fun. So then they would, yeah, okay, $60 and you can do that. Well, put simply.
Yeah, you sound so much like what I would say too. Great. Maybe I can let somebody else speak for a while. I'll be quiet. Elena looks like she wants to say something.
No, I want to say thank you for the question. That was also on the tip of my tongue. So you asked this question, which was bothering me as well. And thank you for answering. That was amazing tips. I definitely will take them on board.
Yeah, sounds great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, if we finish the questions, probably we can say once again that we're still intending to have the coach support system, right, Kalin?
Yes, let's see what we are striving to do in the next 2 months, taking into account the circumstances. By the way, I took a look at the numbers of our district, and I'm positively amazed because I expected to be a disaster. But anyway, we are only 10% below the number of clubs in good standing, and minus 10, yes, again, for the membership payments. I did not compare the numbers with what we achieved last year, but for me, I think they are positive, and we still have 2 months left. And I really hope, and we have the resources to bring the district at least at the same level that we took it over on the 1st of July. This is what we will do in this next 2 months. Also, I'm happy that clubs are really registered members now when we moved online.
We had one new member just recently.
Yeah. So they are new members. And not one, there are tens in the last weeks. And this means that the online demonstration meeting that we organized last week, and also the tips and tricks that we promoted on the district Facebook group, it's working. So there are guests. The meetings that I attended in the last, I think, 6 weeks, almost always we have guests from another clubs. So the people are visiting, they are taking this opportunity to visit other clubs that they really didn't have any opportunity to visit in physically visiting the clubs. And yes, this gives me hope, but I would like to leave as a legacy for my successor as club growth director, this club coaches team, which should develop expertise in coaching clubs, which would be in great demand in the next 6 months at least, taking into consideration the number of members in our clubs. but also creating a team of people who are helping each other, sharing their expertise and the tips and tricks about how to help other clubs. And I would conclude my intervention with an interesting, I hope, remark. Usually we are not conscious about our skills and abilities developed in Toastmasters until we get outside Toastmasters. Because we are speaking here, we are all running to become leaders. And a personal story I have for you is that I had many club colleagues who developed their skills inside Toastmasters, and after they left Toastmasters or went to organize a workshop or a training or helping, I don't know, other organizations to organize some events, they became conscious about the skills that they learned in Toastmasters. And I think this is one of the beauty of the organization, of our organization, and also something that we can sell to also to club coaches and also to officers and members of the clubs who need coaching. So this is it.
Should I give a comment along that line? Have you seen the slides that were developed? I think it was before District 95 split off to become all of us, about the skills you develop of being a Toastmaster, and it has it for all the different, well, at least club officer roles and then district officer roles as well.
Yeah, we stole that.
Sorry?
We use it. We stole that one and we use it.
Yeah, good. That's what people need to see. But then also a story like telling Colin's story, or the story I could tell is maybe about 2 to 3 years into being a Toastmaster. We had a meeting at work and one of the main speakers didn't show up. So they turned to me and said, oh, well, could you sort of take over and fill in this time? Actually, it was the leader of the meeting didn't show up. So could you take it over? And I did. And it looked like it was exactly how the meeting was supposed to happen. And I knew nothing about it ahead of time. So it's those kind of skills we develop over time.
Yes, this is true. This is so true.
Sounds like you've got lots of good energy here, and keep it going. That's really great ideas.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you, Venedict, for taking this opportunity.
And sorry, I'm going to disappear out of the meeting. I probably talked enough and took extra time, but now I have to disappear. Thanks a lot for sharing.
Thank you so much for sharing, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
Have a nice evening. Bye-bye.
Nadia, Venedict, thank you very much for sharing, and thank you very much for your involvement and the passion you give to Toastmaster. It's always an inspiration to listen to you both. And I'm looking forward to meet you face to face when everything gets over and done, and share some quarantine stories at a glass of wine or glass of beer.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys, and good luck with what you are planning in the future.
Yes.
Bye, everybody.
I would like to thank Venedict for being an awesome co-coach for the club, because this is really important, the chemistry within the team. And while I can speak a lot, and while I can be, the little clown of the group, he's the one who's doing the work.
No, and many times Nadejda is the person who is doing the most difficult things, and the secret of our co-coach relationship is that we are different. We are totally different, but altogether something like that. And thank you, Nadejda, for the opportunity to work together. It was really a pleasure for me.
Bye, guys. Have a great weekend ahead, and I'll see you tomorrow at the division
oh yes,
conference.
Yes, we see each other tomorrow.
Bye.
Thank you, thank you, Venedict. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Again, we'll see you again next month. Again, probably the last Friday of the month and not the first. Again, thank you very much. See you, and hope to see all of you tomorrow.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.